All right, ACCA BT students, let's get right into it. We are doing a rapid-fire explainer today on an absolutely crucial syllabus topic, and that is organizational culture.
So, have you ever wondered what actually makes an organization tick? Like, what are those invisible forces that drive how employees behave, shape the everyday office politics, and ultimately dictate a company's performance? Well, the answer is organizational culture. Basically, it's the shared values, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors that really influence how people work together. You can think of it as the company's DNA. It literally affects everything, from how people communicate by the water cooler to how decisions are made, right down to the overall success of the business.
Okay, let's dive straight into this with Charles Handy's 4 distinct types of organizational culture. First up, we have power culture. Imagine a web with a spider right in the middle. Here, power is totally concentrated in the hands of just a few individuals, usually a dominant founder. Because of this, decision-making is lightning fast, and leadership is very strong. But everything relies heavily on keeping that central figure happy. Next is role culture. This is your classic bureaucratic organization. It is strictly governed by formal rules, procedures, and clearly defined job descriptions. In this setup, authority comes entirely from the job title, not the actual person holding it. You'll see this a lot in really large, stable organizations.
Then we have task culture. Here, the focus shifts completely over to teamwork and getting specific projects done. What's cool about this one is that your expertise is actually valued way more than your formal position. It's all about cross-functional teams coming together to solve problems based on their specialist knowledge.
Finally, for Handy's models, there's person culture. In this environment, the individual is the absolute central focus. In fact, the organization basically exists just to serve the autonomous professionals within it. You'll commonly see this in professional partnerships, like, say, law firms or consulting agencies.
Now, what's really interesting about this next model is how deep culture actually goes. Let's look at Edgar Schein's model.
Schein views organizational culture as a 3-layer pyramid. At the very top, step 1, you have artifacts. These are the visible things you can literally see when you walk in, like the dress code, the office layout, or the company logos. Moving a bit deeper to step 2, we find espoused values. These are the organization's stated values, goals, and strategies, the things they claim to care about. But at the very bottom, step 3, are the basic underlying assumptions. These are the deeply held, often unconscious beliefs that truly guide how people behave every single day.
So we've looked at the structure and the depth of culture. But what about geography? Let's check out Schein Hofstede's framework to see how national values influence corporate culture on a global scale.
Hofstede breaks this down into several dimensions. First is power distance. This basically measures the extent to which the less powerful members of a group accept that power is distributed unequally. A high power distance means strict hierarchies are totally accepted as the norm.
Next, we have individualism versus collectivism. Does a society expect people to focus mostly on their own individual goals and just look after themselves? Or are they integrated into strong, cohesive groups that heavily prioritize group goals and collective loyalty?
Then there's masculinity versus femininity. In this framework, masculine cultures are driven by assertive competition and achieving success. On the flip side, feminine cultures place a much higher value on cooperation, relationships, and the overall quality of life. Another key dimension is uncertainty avoidance. This is all about a society's comfort level with uncertainty and change. Cultures with high uncertainty avoidance feel pretty threatened by the unknown, so they rely heavily on strict rules to try and limit that risk. We also have long-term versus short-term orientation. Basically, does the culture focus on future rewards, thrift, and long-term growth, or is there a strong desire for quick, immediate results right now in the present?
And finally, indulgence versus restraint. Does the environment encourage the freedom to just enjoy life and satisfy natural desires, or is it a culture of restraint where behavior is heavily regulated by strict social norms?
So, what's the big exam-ready takeaway here? Well, understanding organizational culture helps businesses improve teamwork, performance, and decision-making. As you're prepping for your ACCA BT exam, try not to just memorize these frameworks. Look at the companies around you. If culture truly eats strategy for breakfast, which of these unseen forces is secretly running your workplace right now?